At certain points in life, people sometimes find themselves in the right place at exactly the right time. It feels as though the stars have aligned and the universe is on their side, setting up the perfect circumstances for something extraordinary to happen. These moments can come out of nowhere, often completely unexpected, but still seem to work out for the best. On the other hand, there are also those who find themselves in the exact opposite situation. They're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and no matter what they do, things just seem to go terribly wrong. It's the kind of feeling that the office worker in the video we're about to show you had to endure. It was around 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon when Paul, a factory worker, was doing his shift. He decided to take a break and went to the leisure room to relax for a few minutes. Little did he know that this would be no ordinary break, and something very strange was waiting for him. As Paul stepped into the room, everything seemed to malfunction around him, but the most notable occurrence was when the chair in the corner of the room suddenly moved on its own. At this point, Paul wasted no time and sprinted out of the room to get to safety. But as he made his way out, things began to escalate rapidly. The lights on the other side of the door flickered, and the door itself began opening and closing all on its own. It was an extremely unsettling experience for Paul, and after reviewing the security footage, his boss decided to grant him a week off to recover from the traumatic event. Since that day, nothing like this has ever happened again in the building. At the same time, Riley, the creator of the upcoming footage, was living a fairly typical life. He worked at a local restaurant and was in a committed relationship with his girlfriend, Becca. They lived together in a nice, spacious apartment, a place that was quite large for a couple their age. The apartment had 4 rooms, each one bigger than they had ever imagined, making it the perfect place for them to live. Becca had a demanding job at the local McDonald's, working a 7-hour shift that kept her out late. She would leave the apartment at 9 p.m. and return home at 4 a.m., a schedule that was tough on anyone, but Riley had to deal with it every week. Unfortunate, every time Becca left the apartment for work, strange events would start happening, and Riley's life was never the same. The next clip shows just one example of the eerie things Riley had to endure when his girlfriend left for work. One night, as Riley was sleeping peacefully, he was suddenly awakened by a repetitive noise that seemed to come from nowhere. He got out of bed to investigate, but what he found only left him more disturbed. The door handle was shaking violently, and at one point, it even locked itself without explanation. When whatever was causing the disturbance finally stopped, Riley, frustrated and desperate for answers, left his room and searched for the source. But as always, he found nothing. This wasn't the first time it happened, and Riley decided to keep it a secret from Becca, not wanting to scare her. But the strange events continued, and Riley has come close to reaching out to his local church for help, as he feels like he's at the breaking point. In the next video, we head to Russia, where a man was casually having a drink when something utterly bizarre occurred. After the event, the man explained that he had no idea how to process what had just happened, and that he never wanted to live in his house again. After watching what occurred, you'd likely understand why. The incident took place at 11:16 a.m. on a Friday morning and left the man confused for weeks. Watch the footage yourself and see. The cupboard in the room opened without any apparent cause, spilling several mugs onto the floor. What made this event even stranger was that none of the mugs broke. They were made from the same material as most mugs, and we all know that if you drop a mug from that height, it's almost guaranteed to shatter. The only logical explanation is that the ghost may have somehow guided the mugs down gently instead of allowing them to fall. We'll never know for sure, as there's no clear visual evidence to show how it happened. On January 26, 2022, a video was uploaded to YouTube by the user Hobgoblin, sparking widespread controversy. The video was flagged by YouTube in its early days of release due to its unsettling content, but after an appeal, it was made available worldwide. The footage depicted two men working at a power center in India. One was the boss, while the other was discussing the progress of a new project. However, the information they were exchanging quickly became irrelevant after what happened next. The two men witnessed an incredibly strange event unfold right before their eyes. Despite the bizarre occurrence, the men decided to carry on with their work. They had a busy day ahead and didn't think much of it, choosing to ignore what had just happened. But that decision would prove to be a mistake. By brushing it off, they unknowingly encouraged the spirit to continue its haunting. The chairs in the room moved again, this time even more violently than before. Realizing that they couldn't take any more chances, the men quickly exited the room. The boss then used company funds to hire ghost hunters to investigate the building and try to clear out whatever was causing the disturbances. The details of the investigation were never made public, and we can only hope that the employees working there were safe, and that whatever was haunting the place was eventually dealt with. Hospitals are some of the most helpful places in the world, offering care to those in need. However, they are also places filled with pain and suffering, where people anxiously wait for their turn to receive treatment. Hospitals, in general, aren't the most pleasant environments, especially if you're stuck waiting for hours on end. But this isn't just the case in regular hospitals. Abandoned hospitals are even worse. The next video features a group of teenage boys who asked their parents if they could play outside, but instead decided to take a much more dangerous route. They chose to explore an abandoned hospital to see what they could discover. They would regret this decision, though, once they saw what they had unknowingly captured in a photo they sent to a friend.
Familia, estamos aquí en el hospital Felipe. Son las... ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es, familia? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? La 1:08. La 1:08.
While they were inside the hospital, they didn't notice anything strange at first. But at the 34-second mark in the video, a mysterious figure appeared ahead of them, before disappearing into thin air. They didn't realize this at the time, but their friend pointed it out later, which caused them to feel even more uneasy. They were lucky to have noticed it, and after that night, they promised never to return to that abandoned hospital. One visit was enough for them to know they didn't want to take any more chances. An apparition is the full, visible appearance of a ghost. Unlike other paranormal encounters, where a spirit remains unseen, an apparition reveals itself clearly to the human eye. Many people who have experienced an apparition would argue that it's one of the most terrifying types of ghostly encounters. The following clip shows just such an apparition, which was caught on camera along a highway. I'll leave it up to you to decide what you think happened, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Also, make sure to subscribe while you're down there. A figure appeared in the middle of the road, and the driver, realizing they were too close to the figure to stop in time, tried to swerve around it at the last second. But just as quickly as it appeared, the figure vanished into thin air. Luckily, the passenger had been recording during the event because, for some reason, the dashcam didn't pick up the figure. This is definitely one of the strangest situations caught on camera. Anthony, a passionate Arsenal fan from England, was home watching highlights of his team's recent matches. Unable to afford a subscription to watch Premier League games live, Anthony was forced to watch the goals after the fact. He always dreamed of one day being able to watch live matches once he finished university. Anthony had been living in a small apartment for nearly a year, but over the past few months, he had noticed a series of strange occurrences. From unsettling noises to strange movements in the corner of his eye, he knew something wasn't quite right. After some consideration, Anthony decided to grab his camera in an attempt to catch something strange on film. Did he manage to capture anything unusual? You'll have to watch the footage to find out.
So, excuse the mess, I'm sorting the room out, there's trash everywhere. But I've been sat here watching my Arsenal highlights for the 19,000th time. And just stuff is moving, right? So this has moved. I thought it was because maybe one of the things is stuck in the blinds, and I closed the blinds, but that was one thing. The bike then fell, and I haven't touched this bike for like 3 weeks. It's not like this is propped up against the wall. The saddle wasn't. It's always been like that, and it just kind of rolled back. And I thought, okay, maybe the pedal slipped, but again, not on the wall. Then this bag kind of twitched in the corner of my eye. I'm pretty sure it did anyway. Obviously watching telly, so I wasn't paying attention. And I'm just kind of now trying. I tried to film other stuff when the bike moved, and I deleted that video because nothing happened. But I'm just trying to see if I'm going mad and want to catch something. I've noticed things in this flat for quite a while, but I've always put them down to like neighbours' noise or whatever it might be. But this is the first time I've kind of actually seen things move. But yeah, so I don't really know. I want something to move, and I also don't want something to move. If anything is here, please, by all means, feel free to move something. Move one of the leaves here, move one of the leaves there, I don't know, whatever you want to move. Move the bike again, or the remote here. Don't be scared. Although I am a little bit scared. It's one of those horrible situations where you kind of want to fuck off. There is no fucking way. I'm so glad I got that on recording. I don't know, I'm coughing all of a sudden. Holy shit. Oh my god, I can't believe I actually got that on film. Please move it again. You've done that much. Please feel free to move it again. This, by the way, has been propped up here for ages. This has not been moved. This never moved before. Fucking hell, like I'm actually shaking a little bit. Sorry for swearing, by the way. Oh my god, I'm so happy that I've just got that on tape. And like this, this isn't like attached to anything. Like there's nothing attached to it. Like I haven't kicked it. I haven't moved anything. It's been I don't know how it was now, but it's been kind of propped up for a long time. I'm gonna lay it down a bit more. Holy shit. I fucking knew. I absolutely knew that I had a feeling, and I can't even speak. I knew that something was going to happen. I don't know why I'm suddenly coughing. I just knew something was going to happen. Oh my fucking god. I don't know. I kind of want to keep filming. I know something's going to happen again. I can just tell. That's the fourth thing now. But yeah, at least I'm not going insane.
After daring the spirit to make its presence known, Anthony's guitar suddenly fell off its stand. This was a particularly significant moment, as that guitar had been sitting there undisturbed for a long time. The fact that it fell so abruptly, and at such a perfect moment, made Anthony certain that something paranormal was at play. Fortunately, there was an empty room 1 story above that Anthony moved into for the same rent. In a bizarre turn of events, a couple had planned to watch a horror movie featuring a doll on a Saturday night. It was 11 p.m, and Saturday nights were movie nights in their household. The previous week, the woman chose a romantic film, which the man found quite boring. This time it was his turn to choose, and he decided to go for a horror movie as payback. But after what happened next, he likely regretted his decision.
The Son and the Holy Spirit, by this sign of the Holy Cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with the Father and the Holy Spirit. David!
It's not even scary.
It's scary.
It's not.
You killed my mother!
You killed your mother! You killed your mother! You killed...
As the creepy doll on screen moved, the doll in their home seemed to come to life as well. At first, the man was in shock, but when it moved a second time, even he, who normally wasn't easily scared, jumped up and screamed. That night, they decided to take the doll to the tip and dispose of it for good. Children's songs are generally seen as joyful and wholesome. They often teach kids important lessons, helping them learn and develop in a fun way. These songs are a staple of childhood, and many parents fondly remember singing them with their children. However, in certain situations, these innocent tunes can take on a much darker and more disturbing tone. This is especially true at night, when the quiet is disturbed by the eerie sound of children's songs playing, seemingly on their own. The following video captures just such an unsettling experience.
No. No. No puede ser, no. No. ¿A qué? ¿Me vas a comer? No, me vas a comer. Me vas a comer bien la pija, ¿sabes? Actividad paranormal. Me dio huevo, Ahí va. Tuki, Ahí está. Perfecto, ahí está. Actividad paranormal, la verga. No, chupame.
The vehicle, a children's toy, started playing the popular song Baby Shark. However, it wasn't quite the same as usual. The song had a strange quality that made the room feel cold and unnerving. The victim in this case was so disturbed by the eerie atmosphere that they were forced to take the toy outside. Things escalated quickly after that. The toy began making knocking sounds on the door, and the person filming knew they had to stop recording, fearing they were only feeding the dark force. The knocking continued for what felt like an eternity, 17 minutes to be exact, before it finally stopped. The room returned to its eerie silence, and the individual was left in peace for the rest of the night. However, the toy was thrown in the trash, much to the dismay of the person's daughter. In an attempt to make things right, they bought her a new one the following week, but they couldn't shake the fear that this new toy might also be haunted. After a week of peace, the man, feeling that the house was finally free of spirits, made a fateful decision. He turned off the air purifier, which he had been using to ward off any lingering paranormal forces. Little did he know, this would be the worst mistake of his life. Just 3 hours after turning off the purifier, everything changed.
Vaya, pues. Estaba escuchando unos ruidos que venían de la pieza acá. ¿Qué mierda? Esto siempre tiene que pasar a la noche, hermano. Siempre tiene que pasar a la noche, brother. ¿Vos qué onda? ¿Vas a hablar ahora vos? ¿Vas a hablar? No vas a hablar.
No sé la verdad, qué decir. Mirá, mirá, escúchame. Punto número uno. Si vos pensás que me va a asustar cerrando y abriendo puertita, me podés comer bien los huevos, ¿está? Punto 2. Si te gusta abrir y cerrar puertita, me podés limpiar los platos, barrer un poquito, ¿sí? Y punto 3, me voy a dormir y te vas a dejar de romper la pelota, ¿estamos? ¿Eh? Nada, es increíble. Bueno, bienvenidos a mi sitcom.
The man suddenly realized that his daughter was missing. In a panic, he searched every room in the house, calling her name, but she was nowhere to be found. When he reached her room, the door slammed shut on its own, and he was taken aback. The strange part was that no one was inside when he entered the room. He was left feeling completely bewildered. His next move was to visit his ex-wife's house, wondering if she had taken their daughter, but when he arrived there, she wasn't there either. When he finally returned home, he found his daughter lying peacefully on her bed, as if nothing had ever happened. In this story, a caring mother of 2 was relaxing at home, watching The Little Mermaid while she eagerly awaited the return of her husband and children. They had gone to McDonald's to pick up dinner, and she was anxiously anticipating the food as she was feeling very hungry. However, just 7 minutes after they left, something happened that would become one of the most terrifying events she had ever experienced. She later explained that the experience was so unsettling that it gave her a new fear of being home alone. After watching the clip, it will be easy to understand why. As Ariel, the Little Mermaid, began to sing while her voice was being taken away, strange and eerie things started happening around the house. Items were moving on their own, which was unsettling enough, but the fact that this occurred during such a dark and evil scene in the movie made it even creepier. The mother tried desperately to turn off the television, but for some inexplicable reason, the remote wasn't working. The strange events continued for 10 more minutes until her family returned home. Once they walked through the door, everything abruptly stopped. She showed them the video of what had just happened, but none of them could make sense of it or explain what they had witnessed that evening. In this story, a caring mother of 2 was relaxing at home, watching The Little Mermaid while she eagerly awaited the return of her husband and children. They had gone to McDonald's to pick up dinner, and she was anxiously anticipating the food as she was feeling very hungry. However, just 7 minutes after they left, something happened that would become one of the most terrifying events she had ever experienced. She later explained that the experience was so unsettling that it gave her a new fear of being home alone. After watching the clip, it will be easy to understand why.
¿Quién es? A la madre.
As Ariel, the little mermaid, began to sing while her voice was being taken away, strange and eerie things started happening around the house. Items were moving on their own, which was unsettling enough, but the fact that this occurred during such a dark and evil scene in the movie made it even creepier. The mother tried desperately to turn off the television, but for some inexplicable reason, the remote wasn't working. The strange events continued for 10 more minutes until her family returned home. Once they walked through the door, everything abruptly stopped. She showed them the video of what had just happened, but none of them could make sense of it or explain what they had witnessed that evening.